All right, the 4 o'clock games are in the rear view. Sunday Night Football is going down as we speak. And welcome into Post-Game Show 2.0, if you will. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. Ravens shut out. That's right, they pitched a shutout in Cincinnati on the Bengals' home turf to get back to 500 football, but most importantly, keep this clear path, if you will, and an opportunity to control their own destiny alive en route to a hopeful AFC North title for the third consecutive season, which has never been done in this division's history. If you want to share a thought with me and call in, go click on that link that I have included as a pinned comment in my live chat. And while you're there, vote in the poll. Who is deserving of your defensive game ball of the week from today in Cincinnati? I got a bunch of different options for you, including one non-player, and that's Zach Orr, who leads the way early with 50-plus votes and counting. 52% of you think that Zio is deserving. I would agree. Tavius Robinson garnering 26% so far. Dre'Mont Jones at 16%. Alohi Gilman at 10%, who I thought had his best game as a Raven. So let me know what you think. Call in and share a thought with me. But first, my goodness, Dre'Mont Jones was brought in at the deadline. And while this pass rush over the last 2 weeks leading into today in Cincinnati disappeared, it came back with a vengeance today. Got to Joe Burrow several times in the form of 3 actual sacks, 10 quarterback hits, and 5 of those were from Dre'Mont Jones. And he was talking post-game, not only at the podium, but on the field as well, both during and after the game. Here is video courtesy of a local reporter in Cincinnati by the name of @Fox19 Jeremy. It's Jeremy Rauch, Rauch maybe, R-A-U-C-H. Hopefully I didn't botch that too much. But it's @Fox19 Jeremy on X. And I just so happened to be watching his footage, and I caught something in the middle. It's the 32-second mark. Don't worry, I snipped it to get the actual short form. But here is Jeremy's footage from his local TV affiliate's photographer and videographer on the field post-game as players greeted one another as a sign of, obviously, sportsmanship.
For you, man. Likewise, coach. Appreciate you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and mute that just in case I get copyrighted there by YouTube. I was going to say by the NFL, but they don't own Clarity. By the way, that's an absolute banger of a song. Can we agree? An absolute banger of a song. But I know a lot of you, some out there in Cincinnati, think that that might have been the last time that Joe Burrow was walking off the field as a Cincinnati Bengal. I don't know if I'd go that far. I think people are taking his press conference and running with it. But the purpose of why I brought that video up was not Joe Burrow walking off the field after getting spanked, or in Dre'Mont's, in his words, whooped. Did you guys catch that at the 32-second mark? Just in case you didn't, I went ahead and snipped it. Whooped your ass today with a smile, a playful remark. Yes, it's the brotherhood. It's competitive spirit. It's the juices flowing post-game. There's no bad blood. But let's be honest. Can we give some love to the officials today in Cincinnati? Because they swallowed those whistles when it comes to several instances where Dre'Mont Jones himself could have been flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. Can we agree on that? After a week, and it was deserved, but after a week of torching the officiating in the Steelers game a week ago, I loved how they did not make themselves a component of today's game. And whether it was the potential flopping or acrobatics there of Joe Burrow that could have been called unnecessary roughness or late hits, they did not insert themselves into the game. And I think that that's deserving of credit and giving credit where credit is due. Anyway, I know that you guys, for the purpose of your fandom and this conversation, you got to love what Dre'Mont Jones has brought to this team. It's an acquisition at the deadline that so far through a month and a couple weeks lead you to believe that he would be not only extension eligible as a one-year rental for this team, but a priority to extend. He's brought a level of menace mentality and a nastiness that they've needed, and that continued into his post-game press conference as well.
Yeah, we didn't really discuss the fact like they have 0 points. Let's keep. I think we just wanted to attack. We knew we had them on their heels. Just by how they were calling it, how they looked, their demeanor, and they didn't feel lively to me. And I feel like we just wanted to attack them. I thought we did that.
Sorry, Dre'Mont. When did you sense that? Early in the game?
I felt that play one that they weren't ready to play. It was too cold for them.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, it continued into the post-game press conference. We covered that on the vault. Quote, we knew we had them on their heels just by how they were calling it, how they looked, their demeanor. They didn't feel lively to me. I felt that play one, they weren't ready to play. It was too cold for them. Not mincing words was Dre'Mont Jones, who, again, finished with 5 quarterback hits. He was all over the field. He made his presence felt, a force to be reckoned with, and somebody that, you take the last couple weeks, which were certainly quiet from a pass rush standpoint as a whole. This has been a positive addition to the Ravens defense. And certainly with the addition and return of Tavius Robinson, who was activated this week and played for the first time since going down with that foot fracture and the procedure that followed it. Man, you talk about a complementary duo that those two can become for one another. That's important moving forward for this Ravens defense, who just has not consistently gotten to the quarterback. Again, they get Joe for 3 total sacks. He finished with a 58.2 passer rating. He was 25 for 39, 225 yards, and 2 interceptions. And, of course, in AFC North play, as we saw on Thanksgiving night, typically whoever wins the turnover battle wins the game. What if I told you that I was tracking 2 insane statistics post-game that tells you just how fluky it got today? Because what I'm about to tell you isn't typically a winning formula, but again, you've seen stranger things happen in AFC North divisional play. Cincinnati ran 31 more plays, and they possessed the football for 19 more minutes than the Ravens today, and again, were shut out and lost by 24. When you turn the football over, meaning when you create turnovers as a defense, and you play well on special teams, and you get timely offensive football, clean offensive football, and the ability to run effectively, you're going to put a lot of teams out. And the Ravens did every single one of those things. They created turnovers. They ran the ball effectively, 7.9 per carry, led by 100 yards from Derrick Henry on 11 carries, including a long of 29. They threw in a dosage of Keaton Mitchell, the lightning to Derrick Henry's thunder. Lamar had a couple carries as well. I thought good scrambles for 14 and 12 yards respectively, where he showed I thought it was encouraging level of mobility. And this was a Ravens team that, look, they weren't out there as much as Cincinnati today. They ran far fewer plays. Matter of fact, they ran how many fewer plays? This is insane. The Ravens ran 31 fewer plays than the Bengals today and pitched a shutout and beat them by 24. Not exactly what you see every single day and every single Sunday when it comes to AFC North football. But it certainly helps when one of those turnovers is an interception that was pressured initially, Joe Burrow was, by Tavius Robinson right up the gut. That gives Kyle Van Noy an open window for an interception. And then one of the slickest, silkiest, filthiest, veteran-like moves with an intention and mindfulness and concentration and care to cleanly hand that football off to Alohi, who took it to the house for 84 yards. Yeah, that's going to win you a lot of football games, give your offense the chance to kind of continue to dig themselves out of this rut, which I think they did successfully today. I thought this was Lamar's best overall operation of the season. Statistically speaking, it was nothing that wowed you, but I thought he had great command today, and the statistics would look a lot more north and a little bit more fruitful, plum, if you will, if it weren't for a couple key Zay Flowers drops, which I'll get to as soon as we get to the offensive side of the ball. But again, 1 defensive touchdown, 2 turnovers. They limited Cincinnati to 3 of 15 in terms of third down efficiency, which is really a deficiency. That's what it was for them today. 3 for 15. That's not going to cut it. And that's exactly why they struggled to move the ball. This is the first Ravens shutout since October of 2018. They beat the Titans that day 21-0. It's been 125 games since. And on top of that, from a Burrow perspective, this is pretty wild and shows you just how much success he's had throughout his career. But the last time he individually, as a starting quarterback in his career, both collegiate and in the pros, was shut out, you got to go back to November of 2018 when he was quarterbacking the LSU Tigers against the number 1 ranked team in the Alabama Crimson Tide. And the Tide rolled to a 29-0 shutout that day. November of 2018. That's what went on today. And you got to tip your cap to ZO, Zach Orr. He had his team ready to go. You already know Terrell Suggs, T-Sizzle's been very outspoken throughout this entire process. He tweeted, "Checkmate. Zach Orr called a brilliant game." There's ZO right there, 2 minutes and 2 seconds away from that shutout and the first shutout of his career as a defensive play caller. So across the board, it was a defensive dominance that put the Ravens across the finish line and now sets themselves up to continue to put themselves in a position to control their own destiny. New England lost to Buffalo today. That's a big win for the Bills on the road at Gillette. We'll get to that a little bit later on. That's Sunday Night Football. It's not a 1 o'clock game coming up 1 week from today. 1 week from right now, we'll be covering Sunday Night Football in Baltimore at the bank between the Ravens and Patriots. So that's what's at stake. We'll take a look at the AFC playoff picture in just a bit. But first, let's open up the guest lines. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for continuing to support the program. You can scan the QR code if you want to learn more about them and get yourself on the road with a newer pre-owned vehicle. There's also over currently 500 of you concurrently joining me. Let's get an update on the poll. Coming up on 140 votes, so continue to throw your vote in there if you could. Who receives your defensive game ball from Week 15? Zach Orr leads the way, 42% of the votes. Tavius Robinson comes in at second at 35%. Dre'Mont at 15%. And Alohi, who I thought had his best game as a Raven, at 8%. All right, Oscar, you ready to roll, brother? But first, Laura, is this the same Laura that I Venmo'd on Thursday night because you hooked me and my date up for the Bucks game? I'm pretty sure it is. If it is, Laura, can't wait to meet you in person. Tampa's finest. Thanks for joining the Discord group. Thanks to, oh gosh, he just told me his name the other day, and I called him John. But what is it? Why am I forgetting? Is it Jack? Why do I not know Jabo's first name? That's probably like a criminal sin because he's like one of the most supportive subscribers of mine. But anyway, Jabo hooked me up with Laura, who hooked me up with tickets to my first Buccaneers game at Raymond James on Thursday night. It was fun. The first date sucked, but it was a fun night. And Laura, thanks for becoming my newest channel member. Let's go to the guest lines. Jake. Okay, thank you. Jake. Jack, John, Jabo, what the fuck? Jake. Thank you, Laura. Oscar, to the guest lines we go. What's going on, brother? Talk to me tonight.
You got me?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Bobby? I mean, didn't expect that defensive performance. I think, in my hands down, that absolutely goes to Zach Orr. You should have put KVN on there as well. Unk was on one today. My heart dropped when I saw him hand that baton off because there was a defender that was right behind him, and I had flashbacks, and I'm like, just tuck the ball. And yeah, I mean, ended up working out. It's Yeah, of course, a little more optimistic.
Well, I'll pause real quick because I'll tell you why I didn't put KVN as one of my options. And if you guys think that it's not one of the 4 options that I have there, then let me know in the live chat. We're talking about who deserves the game ball on the defensive side of the ball. And the only reason why I couldn't do KVN was because of the neutral zone infraction on 4th down. You can't have that. Come on now. That's a veteran. He knew that. You can't have that. And I can't make you a game ball recipient option because of that. Now, he more than made up for it, obviously. But just so everyone knows my thinking and how I put together my poll. Continue, Oscar.
Yes. I mean, like you and Sarah talked about, there was 4 people rushing. Like we had the 4 rush attack. I think honestly, that's what I was saying in the Discord chat. If I was the referees or the NFL, I would have sent the entire defensive line into the doping protocol today after that performance compared to what they were the entire year. But it's absolutely Zach Orr because of the performance holistically for me.
All right, Oscar. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the call tonight, man. Enjoy your victory Monday and the rest of Sunday.
Absolutely will. Thanks, Bobby.
Man, absolutely.
Peace.
You know, Marlon Humphrey, as we saw on the Ravens social media accounts Friday, talked about Ed Reed's visit, the former, obviously, legend, Hall of Famer, all-time great, who stopped by the Ravens facility to speak to the team. I don't think that's abnormal. Maybe sometimes in season, that's not as standard as it is in the offseason or training camp or OTAs or you name it. But for Ed to show up in the building and 20 to have that kind of presence that he commands, relevant, notable, particularly days prior to your first defensive shutout in years, something that he knew all about during his tenure in Baltimore. And Marlon peeled back the curtain a little bit in terms of what Ed's visit was all about at one winning drive just this past Friday.
Reed comes in on Friday. Honestly, that might have been why we practiced so hard Friday as well. I forgot about that. That kind of did motivate. Ed is he's very unfiltered when he talks. So I actually did forget about that. I think that had a lot to do with some things. But we're gonna keep that momentum going as far as practicing like that. If you got to be sore one day, that's all right. But we got to practice exactly how we're going to play, and that's what we got to do for the rest of the year. So he ended up speaking to us like 3 times because he talked to the DBs, and then Zach Orr saw he was talking to DBs and got the whole defense. And then but it was camaraderie, what you put in your body, practicing, trusting your brother. Get this junk food out of the meetings and stop eating the junk food. I'm very upset about the junk food. So we hopefully guys took it to heart, ate a little healthier. But it's always great to hear from a Ravens legend. It's a blessing to those guys when they come back, and hope they know that they're so much appreciated. And maybe we need a Raven to come back every week if we're gonna practice like that and play like that. So we'll go from there.
I know some of you were thinking to yourself, why did it take 15 weeks, 14 games to be put in that type of, mindset, if you will? And I think you'd have a point. The reality is it is week 15. For the Ravens, it's in the rearview mirror. That'll finish up tomorrow night in Pittsburgh in a really important game for the AFC playoff picture between the Steelers and Dolphins. But the beauty of it is, in some cases, especially if they fall short, ultimately, if they do get to the postseason, it's a one and done, or if it's anything short of, obviously, booking their tickets to San Francisco, the question will become, much like it was last year after the 0-2 start and the defensive issues, why now? Like, why did it take so long? Those questions will absolutely still persist and be revisited within the next month if that's where the season heads. But the bottom line is, and I think a reason for optimism, if I'm to put on my fan hat right now and look at it from your lens, is that, one, we've seen it time and time again when wild card teams get hot. You guys know that I grew up in the upstate New York area. I grew up a Giants fan, and I watched it twice within a 5-year span. Eli and the New York Giants do it as the wild card en route to 2 Super Bowl titles. And as things start to get deeper and deeper into December, and you know your personnel, led by Derrick Henry, is built for these upcoming months, and you see just how wide open the AFC playoff picture is. Kansas City was just eliminated today for the first time since 2014 and the first time in Patrick Mahomes' era. You start to kind of be like, why not? Why not the Ravens? It's been imperfect. It's been inconsistent. It's been incredibly frustrating. If they find a way to win this AFC North, and I don't want to get ahead of my skis right now. This is a Bengals overall group and not just a Bengals defense that went into today after it had to have been a distraction-filled week in Cincinnati between Joe Burrow's comments, the defense as a whole being one of the main reasons as to why they weren't able to keep themselves relevant while Joe worked his way back from the toe, Zach Taylor being under fire. Like, there's a lot going on in Cincinnati right now. And so I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment, but I'll also acknowledge that this was a great step forward for a defensive pass rush that's been lacking. This was a great step forward, I thought, for Lamar Jackson, who was much more polished today, maybe the most polished game of his season, operationally speaking. Derrick Henry looked spry. Keaton Mitchell was added in as the complement that we all know. He makes such a great fit with Derrick Henry. It was a defense that turned over Joe Burrow and company and also cashed in with a defensive touchdown, which for whatever reason I felt in my prediction on Friday. I blurted it out, and sometimes predictions come around to help you out. Other times you get burnt, and I may very well end up being burnt in the coming weeks about my whole cooked statement. What I do know is over the next couple weeks, it ain't going to get any easier. New England comes in to Baltimore on Sunday. It's a game that's been flexed. They're not reeling, but they're reeling off of their loss to Buffalo in a high-scoring affair today at their place. And then after that, yes, it sure looks like, based on reports, that Micah Parsons has torn his ACL and will not be available 2 days after Christmas. But look, the Packers are one of the most well-run, consistent, stable franchises out there across the entire National Football League, and they're going to be ready to go in a frozen tundra environment on the 27th of this month. And then, of course, after that, in a game that ultimately might decide the division, the regular season finale in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. So that's what awaits the Ravens. But there's as much room for optimism right now, perhaps, as there's been all season long. And the body language, the belief, the demeanor, the tone of what I've listened to press conference-wise since this game wrapped up, and I've listened to a number of different people and players and staff, that might be the most encouraging component of this entire thing going into Week 16. So I'll leave you with that. We'll get to another super chat. We'll get to the guest lines, and we'll talk about the offensive side of the ball in just a second before I tell you about this episode's sponsor, Preston Automotive Group, continuing to support my program. Go follow them on Instagram at Preston Automotive Group. It's where you can be notified of a lot of different giveaways and other good stuff that they got going on at Preston that we tell you about all year round. I got to get an update on the poll too before I continue. But anyway, as you scroll through here, these guys are so freaking active in their community. It really is an honor to be working with them. Look at what they do. It's just constant charitable work. It's constant work with Baltimore sports area teams. Mark Andrews, for example, the two are partnering up. Mark's one of their brand ambassadors, and for every touchdown, they are donating $890 towards finding a cure for type 1 diabetes with breakthrough T1D. And of course, Mark is a type 1 diabetic, as we know, and it goes to great lengths to keep himself in games and all the management that takes, the treatment that takes in game. I don't think that's talked about when it comes to Mark Andrews, but I do want to say shout out to Preston. If you guys are interested, Bobby Baltimore subscribers get access to 2 exclusive offers. One of those is a $500 credit towards a newer pre-owned vehicle. One of my buddies, Marshall, a subscriber of the channel, just reached out about that within the last week back in Baltimore. Hopefully that's working out well for him. Or when you buy 4 tires, you'll get 50% off your alignment. So you can scan the QR code, which will bring you to my landing page that you see in the upper right-hand corner. I also have a direct link in the show notes if that's easier for you. And thanks to Preston Motor and Preston Automotive Group and their entire team, led by Dave and all the awesome people that I work out with, meaning interact with in the marketing department on a weekly basis. Kate and Audrey and their entire team, they treat me really, really well. And I have no doubt that if you reach out to them or visit them at any one of their Baltimore area or DMV area dealerships, they will not make any exception. You will be treated with first-class treatment as well. So thanks to Preston and thanks to Wes for getting us back to Super Chats. He writes, am I disturbed for searching out Bengals podcasts to see them crash out for my own enjoyment? I delight in their misery. Yeah, I think that makes you a bona fide disturbed human being, Wes, that I absolutely love and need in my life. So thank you for the Super Chat. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I do need to get an AFC playoff picture, an updated graphic up on the screen here in just a bit. So while I do that, let's go back to the guest lines. We're talking about an utterly dominant defensive performance today in Baltimore. And I should say it was in Cincinnati, a game that, by the way, on record now, there is a new most frigid, coldest game. And it was today throughout the entire Ravens 30-year history. It was 10 degrees at Paycor. The wind chill was in the negatives at kickoff. The previous coldest was, of course, the Mile High Miracle, where it was 13 degrees at kickoff with a a wind chill of 2 degrees. So there was that, if you're in the forecast game. New record. Maurice, you're still stationary. It's highly concerning to me. It makes me want to consider whether or not we should have you back on the program. It gives everybody a lot of anxiety out there. There's 720 people that agree with me. We're really concerned about your mobility, your health, your steps, and ultimately how many beers you've chugged today in what was inevitably a day of celebratory festivities, I'm sure, in your gaming chair in your command center. With all that said, while I pontificate, let's bring you on the channel. It's good to see you, partner. Welcome back in.
Yeah, I would have been doing a whole lot of walking around if I didn't have too many angry orchards and if it wasn't cold as balls inside my room and outside of here. But anyway, back to the topic. I would give Zach Orr the game ball. So like the defense, they've took care of business and they ended up shutting out, this Bengals team. So like we stuck to the game plan, which is a good thing. And it was a near perfect game all around, minus the one turnover. So I remember saying earlier, one of the keys to winning the game is, handling our responsibilities on both sides of the ball, whether it's offense, defense, protect the football, minus that one turnover. But I feel like now, the team is starting to find the strides. Now, granted, I know I've said a lot of shit about the Ravens offensive line over the past several weeks, but they have toned it down on giving up quarterback sacks, which is a good thing. But the next 3 games is going to be quite a tough one. So as you mentioned earlier, we have New England, we have Green Bay, and Pittsburgh for our final 3 games. So we have to win out those last 3 games if we want a shot of making it to the playoffs. Now, I want to look at the game stats for today's game. So the Bengals dominated time of possession. They had about...
Well, hold on a second now. Are you just going to hijack the show over here? Cut to the chase. No. Tell me how many beers you're on. We see your right hand, your left hand. How many beers are we in today? I had you on in the 12 o'clock hour. That is 8 hours and 57 minutes ago. So how many are we up to?
About 3 or 4. Haven't really had that many.
Okay. All right. Finish your thoughts so I can get back to the guest lines, will you?
But I wanted to pull up the game stats for today's game. So the Bengals dominated time of possession. They had almost 40 minutes on time of possession. And the only things that killed them were the turnovers. They had 2 turnovers committed in the ball game. So you can, if you watch the entire game, Joe Burrow didn't really look all that comfortable back there. So it was all kinds of skittish. Now, granted, I understand he recently returned from injury, but this Bengals team did not look the same than 2 weeks ago when we played them on Thanksgiving night. And can we take a minute and talk about these Bengals fans and their entire fan base just straight out fucking crashing out after getting shut out at home? So I'm just like the other individual. It's like I get a thrill out of seeing the entire fan base, Bengals fan base, just crashing out. So all of a sudden, it's like the Joe Burrow switch up. Everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, but pretty much half of their fan base are just immediately switching up on Joe Burrow, which I believe is absolutely fucking crazy. Now, I do understand switching up on Zach Taylor because, let's be honest, Zach Taylor is who was responsible for holding that team back for years, but switching up on Joe Burrow,
Thanks for the call, brother.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
I appreciate the call, Maurice. I'll crash your ass out right now or before it's 10 minutes over. The guy's got 3 or 4 beers. He's looking like he's ready to go. I mean, Maurice is the sole reason. I freaking love this guy with all my heart. He's the sole reason why it ain't ever going to be 120 seconds. Evan, Mike, Dre Dog, up yours. It's never going to be 120 seconds. You give Maurice an inch, he's taking a mile, and he's only 3 or 4 beers in. If he were out with me at the Tampa Bay Drinkery last night on a solo mission at a gay bar with an old-fashioned, I never would have gotten a word in edgewise. It's Maurice Mania, baby, and we're all living in it. Back to the guest lines we go. Mr. Manny. Speaking of beers, in this case tequila, let's go down to Mexico. It's good to see you, my friend. Talk to me tonight.
Hey, just getting back from sickness. That's how this game made me feel, getting back from sickness.
I bet. How you feeling? At least your voice is back. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'm getting better, but doctor said, just avoid major public areas right now. We don't want you to fall.
All right, good.
Good game. Could have been better. If Say could have hauled that touchdown, we would have been, I don't know how many scores up. Shout out to Mike for actually sending the game plan on to Zach Orr.
Yeah, Mike thinks he's got the whole thing in the bag. Listen to him. He's taking victory laps after victory laps. Hey, Mike, listen. The only victory lap being taken is the guy who picked the Ravens, 1, and nobody seemed to praise me, and 2, a defensive touchdown, I think last time I checked was had today as well. So, Mikey. Come on, Mikey. It's convenient for Mike these days. He's real loud in the live chat. He's real loud in the Discord group, but yet he fails to pop on and use that access link that I have pinned. Same with Tisha. Same with Tila. I mean, what are we doing here? Come on, Ashley. I see Ashley Blosser out there mixing it up in the live chat, but continue. And I'm going to start calling people out individually tonight because I got time.
Hey, at least, I don't know, there was a mass something guy always in the chat talking trash. I don't know, someone called media something or some shit.
Oh yeah, major media. How could I forget?
Do you know
your
him?
final thought, my friend? Your final thought entering this 3-game stretch.
It's going to be tough. I mean, I understand. Who's right now? New England?
Well, New England's coming up. Denver is in pole position. They're still very much.
Okay, let me check right now, real quick. Because I think Green Bay just lost Parsons.
No, I talked about that. Yeah. Parsons is done with an ACL. It's a big deal, huge deal, and obviously they'll meet 2 days after Christmas.
Yeah, we got the Patriots and then we got the Packers. So it's Patriots are strong. That's gonna be a hassle on its own. Packers, I mean, they just lost Parsons, and on the tight end situation, they still are injured. So it's just worrying about the receivers and the running backs on Green Bay's game. And I don't know. Since my dad is a Dolphins fan, I just pray that his team actually beats tomorrow the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's going to be a big one in Pittsburgh. Dolphins, Steelers. Keep getting yourself right. It's good to hear from you, brother. Keep getting on the mend, my man.
Thank you.
Catch up with you. Mr. Mexico on the mend. We like that about that. We like that. The AFC playoff picture right now, where it stands, is Denver locked up the first playoff spot. They have not yet clinched the overall top seed with that bye, but they've clinched a playoff berth. So New England's still very much in play there. Jacksonville is still very much in play. So right now, your division leaders entering Monday Night Football in the AFC is Denver 12-2, New England 11-3 coming to Baltimore next Sunday, Jacksonville 10-4. They put up a 40-plus burger today. Pittsburgh 7-6 will host the Dolphins tomorrow night, as I keep mentioning. The Chargers are 10-4. They eliminated Kansas City today from postseason contention. Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL in the waning moments. That thrust Gardner Minshew into QB1, and he threw an interception while he was trying to drive them into field goal position. So the Chiefs are out of it for the first time since 2014, the first time in the Mahomes era, and obviously the dynasty for now is on pause. Buffalo's 10-4. The Bills would be a wild card team, and the Texans winning 6 straight games as they did today at 9-5 would be your third and final wild card team. In the hunt, Phillip Rivers returns after 5 years away from the game, coaching football. They were very much in it and could very well have won that game in Seattle against Mike McDonald's Seahawks. I don't know why they handed the football off to Jonathan Taylor on 3rd and 7. Like, you do all of this all week long, bringing in 44-year-old Phillip Rivers just to not throw the ball on 3rd and 7. They gave Seattle far too much time, and Sam Darnold, 2 or 3 plays, got the Seahawks in immediate field goal position. I was just like, why? You do all of that just to hand it off to get a couple more yards for your kicker? Hey, who converted from 60 yards? That's not his fault. I just thought Shane Steichen and the Colts would have a little bit more urgency or a little bit more balls, let's call it, to go for it. Not go for it, meaning throw the football, try and convert. You gave Sam Darnold and company way too much time. Anyway, I'm venting because I was watching that at Chipotle earlier in between post-game shows. The Ravens are 7-7 and Dolphins at 6-7. That rounds out the 3 teams that are in the hunt as far as the AFC playoff picture is concerned. Yeah, and major media, right on cue, major media says Bobby Colts. You think why don't you be a little bit more original? Could you be a little bit more creative, maybe, Major? I don't know. What do you think? Like, that's kind of low-hanging fruit, don't you? That's where you live, though. You're a squirrel feeder, aren't you? You hang out in the parks where I take Tilly to, and you feed squirrels. It's nothing against squirrels. It's everything against the squirrel feeders. That's what you do, don't you? You go to local parks, you feed the squirrels, so all these palm trees down here in St. Pete are infested with squirrels, so that when I come through with my prey-driven dog, she's yanking my arm out of my socket because she wants to go kill these squirrels. That's what you do, don't you? You're a squirrel feeder. That's really all you are, Major. Call your ass in and tell me otherwise tonight. Laura's a first-time subscriber, by the way. I hope I'm not making a terrible first impression. We got to go to the offensive side of the ball, and we will in just a second. But first, I see a man with a Voltron hat on in the waiting room, and I want to go to him first. And he's getting 60 seconds slapped on him, unfortunately. But that's just because I want to get to the offensive side of the ball. And some really interesting comments made that I think you'll enjoy from DeAndre Hopkins. Joel, good to see you, brother. What's going on, man? Talk to me.
60 seconds, Bobby. You were so damn foolish. Damn bastard. Anyway.
Blame Maurice.
It's all good, He had it going. So, but I was pleasantly surprised by how the defense played after what happened last week. Because I told you I was at the game last week. I just saw a lifeless team that was just confused, discombobulated, trying to figure out what the Steelers were doing. It's like the Steelers took it to them on offense, which was like, and it felt like they couldn't do anything. And the third downs were killing them, and Metcalf was killing them. So they needed this type of game. I think this type of game could vault them in such a trajectory that I can give them some positive outlook. They still have a problem with scoring in the red zone. That's still an issue. They have to fix that problem, because if they don't, it's still going to come back to haunt them. Yes. But if they can fix that and keep this momentum with the pass rush going, because that was my biggest problem with them, getting to the quarterback. If they can do those things, nobody wants to see this team in January, if they get there.
Yeah. Lamar talked about that with Aditi in the post-game interview on CBS, that was one of the things that rolled right off his tongue. We got to finish in the red zone. They came in as the 30th ranked group. It's just not going to cut it against the elite of the elite that you're going to see over the next couple of weeks. And again, that's with or without Micah Parsons. And it looks like they're going to be without him. Just in case you guys are just tuning in, it sure looks like Micah Parsons' season is over with a torn ACL. It was a tough day for ACLs. Not only did Mahomes go down with one, not only did Micah Parsons go down with one, not only did Teddy Buchanan go down with one. I don't know if there were others, but those are the three that come to mind. Jules, great to see you, brother. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, Bobby.
And speaking of overall health, Ronnie Stanley got rolled up today. It didn't look like that was serious. That's important for them. Carson Vincent did come in for at least one play. I think it was just one play on 3rd and 16, and a play that was Lamar was sacked. It was actually Carson's non-special teams first snap as a regular season player and the rookie tackle that he is. But it was good to see Ronnie back out there. I'm not sure I've ever seen him more animated than I did today. Apparently, he told reporters post-game that Joseph Osai, defensive lineman for Cincinnati, attempted to choke him out at one point in one of those scrums. So if that's the case, obviously you can see why Ronnie was a bit out of character, if you will, but good to know that he avoided anything catastrophic. As for Teddy, it doesn't look like he was as lucky. Multiple beat reporters post-game sharing their sources, information on a potential torn ACL for Teddy. He entered the day, the rookie did, the second leading tackler behind Roquan Smith, and he's put together a really nice first season, and that could very well mean that Trenton Simpson is thrust back into starting position. And there's different looks and different alignments and different personnel groupings that Zach Orr has at his disposal, particularly given Ardarius Washington's return. But that is something to watch moving forward. Same thing with Marlon's health this week, this upcoming week. Same thing with Cheeto Awuzie, who left and was questionable at one point in the game. Those are going to be very key pieces to the Ravens secondary that you're going to want to watch going into this upcoming week as they get ready to host the Patriots 1 week from tonight. As far as health is concerned outside of those players, I think they got out relatively okay. And Lamar kept himself, he was sacked a few times, but Lamar kept himself in pretty good shape, which obviously was a positive. And then I just want to shout out Alohi Gilman. I had a note on him in the first quarter that I thought was going to become a major talking point post-game, and that was, here's my direct note, missed tackle by Alohi, couldn't wrap up Chase Brown in the backfield. And that's been an area, whether it's like pursuit angles or finishing or just overall technique, he hasn't been consistent enough since he came to Baltimore. But my God, after that, he was on fire, including the house call after Kyle Van Noy handed it off to him, and he showed that speed, taking it 84 yards to the house. I just thought Alohi in space, Alohi across the middle, Alohi from a communication standpoint, he has brought a sense of calmness, a sense of experience and savvy and playmaking in this team that deserves to be talked about. He finishes with 8 total tackles, 5 of which were solo, a pass deflection, and that defensive touchdown. So shout out to Alohi, man. He's been, I thought this was his best game as a Raven, for sure. Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. We all remember what John Harbaugh, for example, had to say about DeAndre Hopkins. And you know what? I don't even think it really starts there. I do have some interesting comments from DeAndre to share with you. But why don't I, Rave, are you with me? If you are, open up that camera. We can get one more call in, and then I'll officially shift gears over to the offensive side of the ball. But he may not be with me. There's my 28-year-old Prince. Happy belated birthday, brother, and welcome back to the channel. 28, right? I didn't just make that up.
Why'd you say Prince like that? Like that was kind of weird.
I was at the gay bar last night. I thought about converting. I've had such a discouraging time in dating these days that really you do come to a point where it's like, do I just convert? Kidding. Anyway, good to see you. Happy belated birthday.
Boom boycott. Boom boycott. Fire that. Fire that. Baltimore, fish in a sea. Fish in a sea.
It is 28, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
28, man.
Everybody's
Listen.
taking this seriously already. The live chat's crashing out.
Hey,
You don't
man.
have anything to crash out today now, do you?
Oh no, I don't. No,
You
no.
don't. You don't.
No.
Because they played well for your birthday.
Yeah, man, they got a dub. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy about that. Um, I'm just afraid. I'm afraid. I'm be honest with you. I'm afraid because it's like we've seen this before. I think the Bengals were banged up. We playing them against while they're 4-9. Their real challenge is the Packers and the Patriots coming up. Like you said, there's some still questionables on red zone. You know, of course, Daniel Falala. You know, Daniel. He's still having moments where he looks lost.
He's putting dudes in the dirt today.
I mean,
I saw it. 77 was putting Bengals in the dirt today. I saw it.
Hey, you know.
Come on now. I know you could do it. You could do it.
No. I got a couple clips on him. I got a couple clips on him. Anyways,
tip your cap to that group. They protected Lamar very well. I thought the only area of critique for Lamar today was really the overthrown ball to Mark and a couple sacks there in that third quarter drive where I thought he was a little bit indecisive, a little bit of unwillingness to tuck it and run. Other than that, I thought this was actually operationally speaking Lamar's best game.
Yeah. I think Lamar. I think the healthier Lamar gets.
The hell happened to your audio? You're all cozy and snuggled up. You can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Hey, there we go. Okay, all right.
Yeah. No, I'm saying
slap a timer on your ass.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. You probably should have. Anyways, yeah, I think the healthier Lamar gets, the better it gets for our offense. You know, who was the guy I really wanted to shout out? Really, Tavius Robinson, man. He was such a Tavius Robinson was such a blessing on our defense. He was great pressures, giving great energy for us on that defense. I think the defense fed off his energy. So really, to me, I think it's Tavius Robinson for me today.
That reminds me, let's get an update on the poll because Tavius had a couple quarterback hits. The team had 10 as a whole. Dre'Mont led the way with 5. And so leading the way is Zach Orrs for a game ball defensively. I only gave defensive options. 46% of you coming up on 340 votes. Why do we only have 340 votes? Like, can we get our shit together here? Zach has 46% of the votes. Tavius, to your point, has 30%. Dre'Mont has 14, and Alohi has 9%.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Who else on that defense? Travis Jones, man. Shout out to Travis Jones. He got paid, and he sure didn't look like somebody that got paid. You know what I'm saying? So Travis, he got paid, and he deserves that money. You know, not like
he was really good today. He was bringing it early and often, being in game wrecker mode. He's up to 2.5 sacks now, which is a career high. But a lot of what he does never shows up on the stat sheet. He just commands attention in the form of double teams, in the form of nitty-gritty game planning, all of which can be blown up within the first quarter when Big TJ's getting after it in the interior part of that defensive line. So, Rave, happy birthday, brother. Appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, man. Appreciate you. Love the flock. Love you, Bobby. You know what I'm saying?
Later, man. Look at you, all lighthearted and spirited. I like that. Positive Rave feels good, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Okay, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. And Evan says, y'all realize Lamar threw the ball 12 times today. Like, WTF you want Mark to do? Well, I know what Mark did really well today. He had a couple key conversions, key catches, and he caught the 2 of the 3 balls that went in his direction. The other one sailed over him. So if there's any Mark Andrews slander today, I don't know why that would be the case. He had 2 big receptions for 18 yards. Yeah, it doesn't overwhelm you. It underwhelms you when you look at it statistically speaking. But when you put it in the context of how crucial those were on the same drive, that's a part of the equation in terms of his component and his role in today's win. He was targeted 3 times. He caught 2 of the 3 balls that went in his direction, with the one that was a miss being on Lamar's part, that sailed over him and landed right in the breadbasket of DJ Turner, who couldn't haul it in. And, look, I do have some grace today for pass catchers, beginning with, Zay Flowers. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the track record that warrants that kind of empathy, right? He's had ball handling gaffes and issues in the past in high leverage situations, and that cannot continue. He doesn't drop two of those footballs today from Lamar that were perfectly placed, one of which would have been a touchdown, and Lamar's pedestrian-like numbers look a lot different than they ended up being. He was 8 for 12, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw an interception off the Zay Flowers bobble. He was sacked 4 times, and he finished with a quarterback rating of 114.6. There are really only 2 areas that I think I can criticize Lamar today. It was the overthrown ball to Andrews, and it was the indecisiveness on that drive. I think it was in the third quarter where he was sacked twice. I thought that there was a less of a willingness to tuck it and run at times, some hesitancy, whatever that was for. Outside of those 2 areas, I thought he was really elite today, operationally speaking. I thought the check down and taking that layup to Rasheen Ali was wise. It showed that diagnosing ability prior to the snap, right? That pre-snap processing, moving things around to his liking, showing you the control and command that he has at the line of scrimmage. And I think that's why I said on the vault earlier today that I thought this was Lamar's best game of the season. And that's not a statistical evaluation. That's the command that he had of this offense. Some of the physicality, the mobility that we saw on 2 of those scrambles were encouraging. I don't think he is at 100% or anywhere close to it, but it was encouraging to see that continue to move forward for him, gradually speaking. And for the Ravens, obviously, it was good enough on a day where, again, they were outplayed, if you will, by 31. Cincinnati had 31 more plays and possessed the football for more than 19 minutes more than the Ravens. And yet they created 2 takeaways, one of which was a house call by Alohi Gilman, thanks to KVN's interception. They were really good and bowed the fuck up on third down. Cincinnati was held to 3 for 15 efficiency on third down. And when you do that, yeah, you can afford to run that fewer plays and possess the football for that fewer amount of time. So, yeah, I got to give major credit to all 3 phases today. DeAndre Hopkins was in the news this week, in the week leading up to this, I should say, at least locally, because John Harbaugh had this to say about his 30-plus-year-old grizzled vet who's still playing at a really high level. But from a usage standpoint, I think, obviously, could have more of a role within the confines of this Ravens offense. And John Harbaugh talked about that specifically when asked about it on Monday during his press conference.
Andre Moore, he got a couple throws. Just kind of sometimes it's just the way the game goes a little bit. But, he's not out there all the time. He's not. I don't think he's at the stage of his career where he's going to play every play, So, when he's out there, you really want to – and we've talked a lot about this, trying to be intentional about him being out there for specific purposes and to do the things that he does well, which we all kind of know what those things are. So I will say that, like, if you go back and you watch the game, you're going to see him playing his tail off. I mean, he's running routes. He's fighting to get open. He's blocking. He's competing. He's doing everything he can. And that's what I admire about him and love about him. He's just become one of my favorite players ever, and we are gonna be friends for a long time, and he and I have had a lot of these conversations. But yes, this next game and these next 4 games and into the playoffs, let's get him involved more. We really need to try to do that. We have been trying to do it. We can do it. It hasn't fallen for us, but I still believe he's going to make plays for us that are going to matter.
Well, there was one that certainly mattered today, and I think it was more about Lamar than it was for D-Hop. But my God, this was just John Stockton out there. You name the point guard of your choice, and this was distributing the football in the flashiest, smoothest, slickest way that 8 could. First off, the accuracy on the sidearm ball, as you see here. 32 yards for DeAndre. It's a strike, a big play. You already know D-Hop's going to get some yak. Maybe not that runaway ability as he once had in his career. He's freaking 33 years old, for goodness sakes. But so the first part of this component was the field awareness, the vision, and the strike and the accuracy on a sidearm ball. Then, after you go back and watch this highlight, as I did 10 separate times, you realize that this was a bona fide no-looker by Lamar. So not only does he sling it sidearm to DeAndre accurately, but it was a no-looker, and it was absolutely poetry in motion. So much fun to watch. DeAndre Hopkins was asked post-game about comments that Lamar made after the Steelers lost. To paraphrase, it was basically like, DeAndre didn't come here. D-Hop didn't come to Baltimore to have this kind of up and down season. DeAndre's response to that?
Grateful for Lamar. Lamar and I, we've been wanting to play together for years. And, some things, a couple of years ago, I thought I was coming here. And they decided to go another way. And Lamar and I, was like, man, when opportunity comes, we're going to make it happen. And, this offseason, I could have went to some different teams and got more money than I did here, but I was like, at this point in my career, man, I want to play with somebody who I consider a friend off the field and a team that I knew, was a couple plays away from accomplishing something last year. So, to play with Lamar, play with Derek, and Zay Flowers, I think, me seeing Zay have one of his best careers, that gives me a joy, just being able to be out there with him and, practice, coach him through some things and just watch him as a player grow. When I'm out there on the field, I try to do what I can. Obviously, I'm going to always be a competitor and have a Mamba mentality till the day I retire. And even after that, I probably still, will have that mentality. Like, I feel like, I'm one of the best players on the field. Statistically, if that's not the case, that's always been my mindset. And so coming here, this offseason, obviously, there's a lot of guys that deserve the ball on this team, and we have a good offense. So, I wasn't, and I'm not upset that, things, aren't, statistically, where I expected myself to be. But, we're in a position to play, a big game this coming next weekend. And that's, that to me, that means more than statistics, going out there playing meaningful football.
Not that this guy ever needed to ingratiate himself with the Ravens fan base, because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's someone whose resume needs no introduction, and someone that's still playing football at a high level, even on the back nine of his career. But those comments were some of the dopest that I've covered since covering this team all the way back when Lamar Jackson's career started. This is a player that is 33 years of age, that has been signing one-year deals with teams for years now, and is just such a technician, such a savant of the position. Whether it's the route running ability, whether it's the still ability to separate, the catch point savvy, and not to mention, like Odell Beckham Jr. had in 2023, the impact that he has in a locker room that's otherwise, aside from him, young and somewhat inexperienced. For DeAndre to say things like that, it's not rocket science. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's a respect thing. It's just something you tip your cap to. He's extremely likable. He's selfless. Obviously, he's not happy as a competitor. I have his stat line in front of me over the course of this season so far, which I don't believe this has been updated to reflect today's one reception for 32 yards. So going into today, he had played in 13 games. He brought in 17 receptions on 30 targets for 257 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you can add 8. You can add 1 in the reception category for 18, and you can add 32 to 257. So I can't imagine, again, as a competitor, as someone who wants the ball, he can't be thrilled. But the fact that he's a pro, the fact that he's not a distraction, the fact that he is a confidant of Lamar, the fact that he's an advocate of a guy like Zay Flowers. You're right, Evan. Cerebral. That is the word. It's cerebral. But you want to know what really greatness is to me as I look at this, and this is just in sport in general. When you evolve and your longevity evolves so that your game over time adjusts so that you can not only stay ready, but when you are ultimately called your number, not only are you ready, but you deliver. That to me is the ultimate sign of greatness, generational greatness. And DeAndre, I don't think there's anyone out there who's more tenured and more accomplished from an overall active receiving yards leader than Nuke. You're talking about, Evan says he was talking about Cooper Rush. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on in the live chat, but I'm not going to go there. The point is, this guy's been a great addition. They're going to need him down the stretch. He can still be that 50-50 presence. He can still move the chains when you got to have it on 3rd and 4. And he's ultimately somebody that's been a great, great impact locker room guy for a young team at the pass catcher position. So good for him. And I know you guys are probably out there, some of you like, damn, we want him involved more. And I get it. But on a day where you ask your quarterback to throw just 12 times, as we were talking about with Mark Andrews earlier, like what else do you want these guys to do? Zay Flowers led the way today with 3 receptions for 68 yards, a touchdown. He was targeted 5 times, and obviously 2 of those footballs were not caught and should have been caught. And he held himself accountable, by the way, and spoke with the media afterwards. I know we've been critical of Zay, at least Sarah has, when it comes to media skippage in the past. Most recently, what loss was it? It was within the last few weeks. But he was up there in the media scrum facing the music, even though it's a lot easier to do that, obviously, after a win in a winning locker room. But just to be clear on that, I did listen to that earlier, and he just held himself accountable. There was no point in cutting it all up. So Lamar improves to 7-2 over his career in head-to-head matchups against Joe Burrow and remains unbeaten in Cincinnati. Lamar is utterly dominant playing in front of the Bengals crowd. And my God, has he delivered some really, really iconic moments at Paycor, whether it was the ragdoll play and ultimate touchdown with that play extending ability to Isaiah Likely last year, or you can go all the way back to his first season as a regular season starter, full season as a regular season starter, where Kevin Harlan had the classic, instant classic call. He is Houdini, as he ran all over the Bengals that year. I believe that was pre-Joe Burrow, who was drafted in 2020, if memory serves. So good stuff there. Bengals are eliminated from postseason contention. They got a lot to figure out in Bengals country. That is for certain. And Derrick Henry, as I mentioned earlier on in this offensive category, had 11 carries for 100 yards, a long of 29. He averaged 9.1 per tote. Keaton Mitchell, 8 carries for 66 yards. We know that the King, even despite some of the up and down nature, the inconsistencies with that line that he's been running behind this year, still has once again in his future first ballot Hall of Fame career has reached the 1,000-yard threshold. So congratulations to Derrick Henry. Quickly, we'll take a look around the league, and we've already mentioned this a few times, but again, an MRI has confirmed that Mahomes sustained a torn ACL in his left knee. They're going to pursue surgical options. He's done for the year. That means Gardner Minshew will get the closing 3 weeks. It doesn't really matter because the Chiefs are out of postseason contention, and that is that. A dynasty, at least for now, is on pause. Denver and Bo Nix. Goodness gracious. Sean Payton, Bo Nix, and this dominant defense. What are they now? 12-2 after beating the Green Bay Packers 34-26. The big story here is what I've mentioned already a couple times, and it really is really pertinent to the Ravens, who will travel to Green Bay in 2 weeks' time. Micah Parsons appears to have torn his ACL. That means it'll be it for the star pass rusher who they acquired earlier this season. That is a big deal, huge deal for Green Bay. The Ravens will, again, travel to Lambeau 2 days after Christmas. That'll be something to watch. And there he is right there, Pat Surtain, showing some good sportsmanship there, checking on Micah. That's an absolute gutting loss for the Packers. Micah is a game-changing franchise player, one of the best to ever do it. And yeah, Bo Nix, as up and down as he's been throughout this win streak for Denver this year, he was surgical today, making winning plays for Sean Payton and company in that win. Buffalo, as you see here, towards the waning minutes of the second quarter, we're down 3 scores, 21-0. Buffalo came all the way back on New England's home turf to upset the Patriots 35-31. So the Bills will be a wild card team right now, and I'll keep switching back and forth if you need me to. The Bills are 10-4. New England's 11-3. The number 1 seed in that first round bye is still up for grabs, and obviously the Ravens could damage New England's hopes significantly, if not take them out entirely, with a win on Sunday Night Football. That game has been flexed 1 week from tonight. Make sure you mark your calendars accordingly. So Bills beat the Patriots. Seattle beat the Colts in last-second fashion. Phillip Rivers comes back, and for old men everywhere, 40-plus, just became a lifelong hero at 44 years of age. Just not enough. A little bit too vanilla, a little bit too conservative in the end. Handed it off to Jonathan Taylor on 3rd and 7. I thought they were going to throw it and attempt to win the game and kick a game-winning field goal, but they gave 50-plus seconds to Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold, and the Seahawks closed the door 18-16. The Rams are a problem. They put up a 40-burger on Detroit at SoFi, 41-34. Down go the Lions. The Steelers still have to see Detroit, by the way, before it's all said and done. And the Steelers will host Miami, as we've mentioned a couple times, on Monday Night Football. That's tomorrow. Chicago thumped Cleveland 31-3. Jerry Jeudy is, what is he doing? What is Jerry Jeudy doing? Wouldn't have mattered, but whatever. Houston thumped the Cardinals. They've won 6 straight. The Texans could be a tough out in the wild card round. It's 40-20, the final there, as the Texans surge. The Chargers beat Kansas City, as I've already mentioned. Mahomes went down. And LA right now would be a wild card team? Chargers, Bills, and Texans would be your wild card teams as of right now. And then Jacksonville thumped the Jets. God bless my buddy Jake Asman, who covers the Jets full-time around the clock, because it is a chore. It is very much a chore to do that. So just salute to him for having to deal with that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I think that should about do it. I want to go watch the second half of Sunday Night Football, and I think that gives you guys plenty of content on the way out. Some of you have always asked how you can donate to the channel outside of the YouTube Super Chat feature. 2 ways have just come across the bottom of the screen if you are interested in doing so. Through Venmo, Cash App. The free things that go a long way are liking the video, subscribing to the channel, hitting that notification bell, channel membership, you name it. I also am noticing that the Discord continues to move and build community. Over 1,065 to be exact, members and counting. So I would love for you guys to join. It's free. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. And as you see here, there has been chatter all day long in here. All things football, all things baseball. There's Steve Loop checking in, father of Tyler. What's going on, Mr. Loop? Discord link is being dropped into the live chat right now. Sarah and I will be back at 12 noon Eastern tomorrow for a Monday, day after live stream. Hope to catch up with you guys then. Enjoy your victory Sunday evening. Enjoy your victory Monday. And I will catch up with you tomorrow. As always, if you could on the way out, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member. Laura, great to have you a part of the channel now. Hopefully I didn't ruin your impression of me. Things can get a little hairy in here at times. Dre Dog pause. Have a great night, guys. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support. And I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow.